This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone. Welcome
Hello.
to day 7. We're almost there.
Woohoo!
You guys are doing great. And if you're having any difficulties, reach out. Tonight, we have a special guest, and I'm very grateful to introduce you to Scotty Johnson. I'm going to read you a little bit about him, but I also posted it on the Facebook page so you know all about him. Scotty Johnson serves as an effective and knowledgeable strength coach from South Florida and has just started a new fitness studio in Royal Oak. Scott has trained individuals from professional and collegiate athletes to pre- and postnatal clients. Scott graduated from University of Miami with a master's in exercise physiology with concentration in strength and conditioning, as well as a bachelor's of science degree in exercise physiology. I want you to introduce yourselves to Scotty Johnson. Welcome, Scotty. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, and welcome, and thank you all for having me on this night before we get all this packed full of snow. So essentially, I was going to kind of introduce myself. So thank you, Dr. Stacy, for that. So you guys can kind of understand, you know, a little bit about myself and where I'm coming from. These are things today that we're going to work on that is perfect for your upcoming snow day. I just want to kind of teach you guys some dynamic warm-ups, correctives, mobility, some movement, things that you can do, number one, at home every single day. Number two, you can do it, you know, anywhere you're at, either before you work out. You know, these are just things in place of, you know, where you don't have to go out for a class every single time. This is something that we just want to teach you, that you can use movement as medicine. And granted, we are in the middle of our detox, so we don't want to be doing big, heavy lifts and large runs and high intensity exercises. So we still want to move. So this is something very, very, very low impact. Okay, so nothing today. I hope everyone has on their workout gear. We're not going to do anything that's like crazy. I'm not trying to make you sweat or anything like this, but this is something I do with not only my professional athletes, but also with my everyday clients. So as Dr. Stacy said, I've trained clients that were in their 90s. I've trained women through pregnancy. I've also trained plenty of NFL athletes as well. And granted, everyone's doing the same thing. You know, we just modify it to the individual. So today's just kind of some good dynamics, some good correctives and mobility that you can do on, you know, a regular basis. And, you know, something that hopefully you can take with you and not only used for the rest of the detox, but hopefully use forever. You know, these should be right in the beginning for your workouts. And just to give you a little small clip before we even start going, when I say the word dynamic means basically we're just taking our muscles or our body and we're going to an end range of motion and then coming back to immediately relaxing, like right from there. Now, the biggest difference between dynamic stretching and static stretching, okay? Dynamic stretching is something we always do before our workout. So that's what I'm about to teach you. Static stretching is something we always do after our workout. Okay, the way I like to say it is dynamic stretching is essentially that wake up call, that knock, knock, knock. Hey, muscle, we're here, we're ready to go. This is something you want to do right before you get into any type of lifting, even if it's just a run or yoga. This is warming up the muscle tissue. Now, static stretching, which is something we're not going to go over today, but static stretching is your typical holding a stretch for a long period of time. That's essentially telling the muscle, hey, it's time to relax. Okay, so a big, big misconception, especially in the fitness industry. And you see the NFL guys do it, you see the NHL guys do it. So a lot of people are even doing this wrong today, even with enough knowledge as we have, but they're static stretching before working out. And the problem with that is you're essentially telling your body, hey, let's relax. Let's take a muscle relaxer. Let's take something to make us fall asleep, some NyQuil, but then go party all night. So it's a very, it's counterproductive. So when we talk about dynamic stretching, which we're doing today, this is something that is helping the muscle, helping your body move through movements in order to go on. And like I said, I'll kind of explain a little more as we go, but hopefully everyone has some space. whether you're working out on carpet, anywhere, this is, like I said, this is something you can do at home every single day. I'm on some tile, so I have just a nice big soft blanket. Okay, this way, I feel a little more comfortable because we are going to be down on our knees a lot. Not that we're going to be putting a lot of pressure on our knees, but we are going to be sitting on them from time to time, and that can be a little uncomfortable. So never be afraid to add an extra towel, or maybe you have a pad or something like that. But first things first, we kind of always start on the floor, start with very easy movements, okay, that we feel good with. So we're going to kind of start a lot with like our upper body right now. So I'm going to go in kind of like a diagonal facing movement. That way you can kind of see what I'm doing from every angle. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do today is called a thread the needle. Okay, this is probably number one, the most comfortable and the one that's going to feel the best, okay, as a stretch. So thread the needle, you're going to start on your knees, okay, and then we're going to get what we call a tabletop position. So you can't see my hands through the camera, but basically both my hands are flat on the floor. My knees are on the floor as well. Now my position is my wrist is in line with my shoulder, while my knee is in line with my hip. So we call this a quadruped tabletop position. That's where we're at. We're going to take one arm. So this is my right arm. I'm going to take it. I'm going to swing it through underneath. I'm going to reach as far as possible. Okay. You're going to tap your shoulder to the floor. And then from here, you're taking that same arm coming through your body, and then you're going to reach it to the sky. So go ahead. Once you come from that position from the floor, you reach the sky. So we're going to do about 3 or 4. So let's go right back underneath. Reach as far as you can. It should be a nice stretch on that upper back. All right. And then we're going to reach to the sky. Okay. So not only are we stretching our back while doing this, we're also getting a thoracic stretch. So the front of our body, our chest. So this is kind of getting both angles at the same time. So one more time, let's go ahead and reach as far as you can and then reach to the sky. All right, so let's go ahead. You did 3 on one side. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So it doesn't matter if it was left or right. We're gonna do the same exact thing. So reach as far as you can. Hold for about just a half second and then reach to the sky. Okay, so go ahead and do about 2 more for me. And reach. All right, and just to give you guys a little education behind it. Like I said, this would be dynamic. We're going into a full stretch and then coming back to a regular position. Now, a static stretch, something that you would do after an exercise, would actually just be holding that position on the floor for about 20, 30-second holds. Okay, so if you notice, we're holding for about half a second to a second before we do it. All right, so that's our thread the needle. The next one we have is called a T-spine. So it's working very similar movement. However, T-spine, we're going to put our hand onto our neck, okay? What's going to happen is I'm going to bring my elbow down to my bottom wrist. So I'll come down, I'll tap my bottom wrist, and then reach up as high as possible. Now, I'm going to have everyone do 5 of these on each side. Now, I'm going to be talking as you do it, so you can just listen. Go ahead, get that elbow down to wrist and open up. Now, you might notice that you're not able to open up as high as you did when you had that straight arm. That's just because as we put our hand on our neck, we're putting ourselves in a more fixed position that this stretch is going to be a lot harder to get our chest up. So this is something that is actually slightly more advanced than the other one. So these are 2 movements that are very good to use throughout the process because you'll know how much better you're getting at this. Because a lot of times in life, especially if I turn sideways, we're not getting our arms behind our head like we should. We're trying to pull back and we're stopping here. So I'm sure those of you that have been with Dr. Stacey, she's always working on those movements for you. These are just things that you can do at home on your own. All right. So moving from there, I'm staying in my quadruped position. Okay. This one is more for our stability. We call it a bird dog, okay? We're gonna take our opposite arm and opposite leg. So I'm kind of showing you because I'm backwards in the camera, but this is my right arm and my left leg. I'm going to reach my right arm and left leg out at the same time and then come back down to my quadruped position, okay? And you can alternate on this one. So I'm gonna take my left arm and my right leg and I'm gonna reach out, hold for about half a second, come right down. Now, the two things you guys really want to make sure is happening is when you are kicking out, the first thing that happens is we want to, and I'll kind of turn sideways. First thing that happens is we kind of either internally or externally twist our feet as we do this. I know the camera angle is not large enough, but basically what's happening is you want your heel to go straight to the ceiling. So when you're reaching out, you're trying to stay straight, but you want your heel going up straight to the ceiling. You don't want it turning left or right, okay? So you don't want an internal or external rotation because that's also gonna be throwing off our hips. We don't want any hip deviation as we do this. And then the second thing is make sure when you do fully stretch out, you don't wanna continue too high and you don't wanna arch your back. That's just putting pressure on your spine. You're just trying to come out to a flat pace and then right back down. All right, so hopefully you guys did about 3 or 4 per side, just trying to get ourselves nice and warmed up. We're gonna move down to a little more hip activation. These are our hydrants, okay? So we're still in this quadruped position. We're gonna take one leg at a time. We're gonna take our right leg. We're gonna come as high as you can, up and down. Same thing, you're coming up at the top, you'll hold for about half a second and right back down. You should feel a nice little pinch in your booty. That means you're opening up your hips, you're working your hips. It should burn a little bit as you go. This one, we're gonna do about 10 per side. And all we're doing right now, very simple, is we're just telling our glutes, okay, it's time to open up, it's time to wake up. We're ready to use that muscle. So go ahead and do 10 on your right, and then you can go ahead and switch and then do 10 on your left leg. And this exercise is perfectly named. It's called a hydrant. So you should kind of look like a dog going to pee on a hydrant. So the higher you get that knee, the better. The better it is for those hips. So give me 10 per side, 10 per side. Good. I can only see about 3 or 4 of you at a time, but I see that you're doing it, so it's awesome. Perfect. Once you get that 10, you can go ahead and kind of relax. Like I said, we're not even working out. You should probably already feel your muscle, especially in those glutes, kind of slight little burn. That's great. We want that feeling before going right into our exercises. So to continue that same thing, now we're going to be in our quadruped position. We're going to take one leg. So I'm taking my right leg. I'm going to reach as far as I can to my left side. Look, my upper body's still staying forward. Okay, so I'm not twisting or turning. Okay, I'm still in the same position. And then I'm taking that right leg and I'm raising it all the way to my fingertips. So my toes are going to tap in line with my fingertips. So I'm reaching as far as I can, come all the way up, tap where my toes to fingertips. And you're going to do 10 of those as well. So 10 on your right, 10 on your left. And at this point, it's perfectly okay if you want to alternate legs every single time. I tend to like to do the same side first. Number one, just trying to make sure that muscle is, understanding what's happening, as well as it's a lot easier to count 10 on one side than 10 on the other. Same thing, if you do 8, you do 9, you do 11, it's not a big deal. All right, 10 per side. And then we're gonna get in a little more difficult stuff. All right, so once you guys finish that 10 per side, okay, I'm gonna try to back up just a tad. I think you'll be able to see me a little better here. We're gonna do a new stretch here, okay? So I want everyone to come up into a lunge position. Okay, so it doesn't matter which leg you use. So one leg is still on the floor. Okay, so my right knee right now is still on the floor. It's nice and relaxed. My left leg is up in that 90-degree angle. Okay, now I preface this with this is a difficult stretch. Okay, it is not easy. I expect you to lose your balance. Okay, so you're probably going to feel very off kilter here. That is normal. If everything were easy, then we would all just do it. So this is something that you could obviously build into. So I want you to obviously start trying to do these more often, especially before workouts. But this is something, maybe do 3 per side, try to hold it for a little bit longer. As you get better and better, you can continuously add on. Okay, so what's gonna happen is right now my left leg is up, okay? Now, I'm going to take my left arm and raise it to the sky. Now, you can see the camera's cutting my arm off, but you can tell that my arm is reaching as high as possible, okay? Now, I'm just gonna bring it down for 1 second. My opposite arm, okay, so my right arm, the one that's not in the air, is going to grab onto my ankle, and I'm gonna bring my elbow to the floor. Now, I want everyone to kind of watch me because this is one that can be very confusing, especially if we're not in person together. But my left leg is up, so my left arm is gonna go up. My right leg is going to grab my ankle, and my eyes are going to follow my top arm. So I'm looking at my left arm, and then I come back up. So like I said, this is dynamic, so we're not gonna hold it for too long. We're only gonna hold it for about 2 seconds. So left arm comes up, I grab, I drop my right elbow, my eyes are facing the ceiling, and then I come right back up. So this is something, like I said, you only need to do about 3, maybe 5 per side. It shouldn't be something too crazy, but you'll notice I still do it too. If I'm not properly warmed up, I might fall over, I might fall onto my elbow, I might lean a little one way, my legs might start to wobble. That's perfectly fine, okay? Not everyone is perfectly balanced. That's why we do things like this prior to workouts. Also, it's perfectly to say do after a workout. All right, so once you get about 3, 5, doesn't really matter. We're gonna go ahead and switch, same thing. So now my left knee's down, my right leg's up. So now I'm gonna bring my right arm up, left leg is coming down, grabbing my ankle, twisting, and I'm looking to the ceiling. So go ahead, same exact thing, 3 to 5 per side. And like I said, this is just a warm-up, okay? We are not even working out. This isn't any version of like a hard yoga. This is just something that we do prior to getting our athletes ready. I'll tell you right now, the NFL guys are usually the ones that are the worst at this. So if you master this, you could at least say that you're better than them at that. It is not an easy stretch to do, okay? So those are a couple floor movements. Like I say, I can spend 10 to 15 minutes just doing floor work with my clients or athletes, but obviously I want to kind of give you guys a little something to see. So we're going to go ahead. I want everyone to stand up. I'm just going to move my camera up a tad just so everyone can kind of see me a little better. Okay, so I kind of want to build off what we were just doing. So in our exercise, whether you're coming for a class or you're in a group, whether it's the athletes or you're just doing personal training one-on-one, we always start on the floor. Okay, so those are our easy movements, just try to get ourselves activated. This is now where the real range of motion comes into play. Okay, these are our dynamics. So we're gonna go through a 3-step process. So everyone's going to squat, okay? So when we come down into a squat, we're gonna push our knees out, we're gonna drop as low as we can, we're gonna take our left arm, drive it to the sky while we're sitting in a squat, come down, bring our right arm, drive it to the sky, come down, and then you would stand up. That would be 1 repetition, okay? So we're gonna do 6 of these together, okay? If you notice the pace of the way I did it, that's exactly the pace it should be. It shouldn't be any faster, and it doesn't need to be any slower either. So everyone together, and I'll kind of turn sideways so everyone can kind of see me from this angle. So we're gonna drop down into a squat, nice and low, 1 arm up, eyes are looking at the sky, come down, opposite arm up, come back down, and stand up. That'd be 1 rep. So we have 5 more. If you notice, as I'm coming down, if you look at my back, at no point am I rounding it over, okay? My back is always flat, my chest is always up. That's what you wanna have. If you round your back and reach up, it's gonna be a lot easier, okay? That's not the point. We're stretching, we're getting our body activated. So when you do these, make sure that back and chest is staying up, back is staying nice and flat. All right, so I'm about at number 3. You guys should have about 2 more here. Good, I'm doing 1 more. And stand up. Perfect. Now, if your legs aren't feeling it, You're lying to yourself, so go ahead and give them a little shake out before we get into the next thing. So next one we have is our reverse lunge, okay? We're just trying to get the biggest stretch onto our body as possible. So by doing that, we're gonna kind of just cut ourselves in half. So we're gonna take our right leg, we're gonna step back into a reverse lunge, and at the same time, I'm gonna step my right arm as far back as possible. Now, as I said, you can't really see my legs. I'm not trying to rest my knee on the floor. I'm actually doing a reverse lunge. So I'm dropping down without just resting my leg. So by reaching my right arm and right leg, you can see I'm getting the most amount of range of motion for one whole side. So you're gonna go ahead and you'll do 5 on one side and then go ahead and switch, and then you'll do 5 on the other. The goal is to get that arm behind your ears, okay? The more of a stretch you get, the better stretch you have on your lats and your triceps. This stretch is very important because in life, and I'm sure Dr. Stacy has told you this, we're driving a car, we're sitting to eat, we're sitting at a desk, we're sitting. That sitting causes that kyphotic motion where our shoulders come forward. By reaching back, that's gonna build better posture for ourselves. Same with those T-spines, same with those thread the needles. So those are very important things to add in, okay? So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna do one more, and then we'll kind of do some Q&A. Like I said, I don't want this to be too long. I could spend 40 minutes just doing correctives or mobility, but it's more important that you guys kind of understand the why and how we do it. So last one, we just went back into a reverse lunge. So now I wanna go ahead and we're gonna move in the frontal plane, which means left to right, okay? So my feet are planted into the floor. So I'm gonna imagine that they're glued, okay? So your feet don't wanna move at any point. So as the better you get, the more you can widen your feet. So you see I'm just kind of sliding myself out. If you're not that far out, that's perfectly fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop into a lateral lunge, meaning my butt's going back. There's a wall behind me. I wanna push my butt back into that wall. My inside leg is perfectly straight, okay? And then I will stand up for there. My feet are still glued, I don't need to move. And then I'll switch sides. Now I'm gonna turn sideways because it's kind of hard to see me from there. But if you notice, as I said, I'm imagining there's a wall behind me. I'm pushing my hips back, stand up, and push my hip back to the opposite side. So almost like you're driving down into a squat. Obviously, you're not gonna be able to get as low as you would because we're keeping those feet glued. If I allowed you to kind of move one of your feet around, you might be able to get a little lower. That's not the point. We wanna keep that back flat, keep that chest up as we switch every single time. We can also add in a heel reach, so driving your arms down while still keeping that chest up, that back flat. But this is something very simple that you can do just being in place. All right, so those are just a couple movements that we kind of take, like I said, my personal training clients through, my athletes through. Anybody can do it. My pregnant females do this as well. So it's not something that's, impossible. You just kind of build into it. But these are things that we do prior to getting into exercise. It took us about 15 minutes just to go through that stuff. As you know it, as you get better, we do the stuff in about 7 minutes. So it goes pretty quick. It's especially once you know the names of them. Lateral lunges, 5 per side, go ahead, T-spine, all these things that we can kind of just put together to build ourselves a program. And you can hear me, I'm slightly winded just by like kind of demonstrating that to you. So these are things we do even prior to movement prep in our warm-ups. So you see a lot of people do ladders and kind of like skips and runs. That's also part of the program right after this. Then we do a workout. So we don't even touch a workout. We don't touch a weight. We don't touch whatever we're gonna do for another 15, 20 minutes into our warm-up movement corrective prep. All right, so Dr. Stacy, obviously take back over, but I'm gonna stay on for any questions, Q&A, anything you guys wanna kind of know.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Who has questions for Scotty?
Do you
I
have
have
any
a question.
online workout classes?
Jill, go ahead.
I heard two questions at once.
Oh,
Jill?
sorry. I was wondering if you did online workout classes or are you in person?
So I do in person. I signed a lease, so I should have my space in Valentine's Day. So February 14th, so 2 weeks from now, I have a location on 14 and Crooks.
Okay.
So it's right on that Royal Oak Clawson border. So I do personal training and I do group classes. I have done online training classes before. I've done Zoom boot camps just like this. I was telling Dr. Stacy before I moved here from Florida, I had a contract with 2 banks that had over 100 employees, and they would have 100 people on Zoom, and we would just be working out just like this. So if you think I'm breathing heavy now and talking a lot, you should see me after doing like high knees and jumping jacks and stuff like that. But I enjoy being in person, more of a one-on-one setting, just because I have a lot of equipment, like a lot of, essentially I have a tool belt. I have a lot of tools that I can use. I can make sure something's great or a good workout when you have just body weight, but it's a lot easier for someone to come see me and do something. But I have done, and me and Dr. Stacy have talked about maybe doing some sort of HIIT boot camp, half an hour, like Zoom workouts that, yeah, I've done it before, but yeah, I definitely prefer the in-person.
Valerie?
Yeah, if you have any suggestions for someone with bad knees, I've had a knee replacement and a little bit of nerve damage. So kneeling is painful at times.
Yes. So there are a ton of the movements I just did that we can do without being on your knees. So that's number one. Obviously, if a client ever came in like yourself, if you came in and I told you to kneel down and that alone bothered you, there's a bunch of different ways to warm you up and get the muscle tissue ready to go before a workout. The suggestion is kind of a hard one because a lot of times that's for someone to see. So if a doctor or a physical therapist told me what those issues were about your knees, obviously a knee replacement should help you get better and help you move a lot better. So that's a lot of times when someone comes to see myself, my whole first hour, and that's something I was gonna mention to everyone, I always give a free session. So if anybody wants to do a personal training session, everything that Dr. Stacy sent you, my phone number, Instagram, email, everything's there that you guys can just reach out to me and we can schedule something. But definitely my whole first session is just assessment. How do you move? If you're having knee pain, like that's a big thing. Like I'll watch you do something. Either I'm going to be able to tell right away and that's why it's bothering you, or there's an underlying issue and we can work around it. So as I said, I've had clients in their 90s. Everyone just needs a little TLC and a little direction and you can make anything work.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, that's a hard question, obviously, because there's no right one answer though. Like, oh, you should do this. You'll be fine. Like,
yeah, I work out now and there's a lot of workarounds, but I do a lot on like the bench or the floor.
Yeah. So one thing I will suggest that's great for your knees, and this is a little science for you guys. We call them closed chained activities versus open chained activities. So closed chained activity, and I'm just scooting back, means your foot's glued to the floor. My foot is not moving. It is almost outside of obviously already having a previous injury. It's very hard to hurt yourself when your foot's in a static position in that closed chain activity. Open chain meaning it's kind of coming up and down. That's why we always suggest riding the elliptical rather than going for a run when you have knee pain, because you're putting a lot less pressure on your knees. So that could always help doing a lot more closed chain activity or riding a bike or something. That's going to be a lot less pressure on your knee than it ever would be if you went out for a run. A run is obviously going to cause a lot more issue when you do have knee pain.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? I have a question about shoulders. So if someone has had or is experiencing shoulder pain, they might have some tears in there. What do you do with them in regard to mobility or strength training? Like, What do you
So I give them Dr. Stacy's card,
think?
and then I tell them to do that. No,
Good
so
call.
the
I didn't
shoulder-
plan that either.
we did it. We nailed that. Like, so when it comes to shoulder and mobility, same thing. Number one, me telling you that eventually we need to get your arm back here, that takes time. So a lot of shoulder mobility is just safe working out to get you to that end goal of having more end range of motion. And a lot of things, as I said, I know you guys were kind of doing your movements, but main reasons why we do have a lot of shoulder impingement or immobility is essentially our posture is just terrible. We're always so forward in everything that we do, whether it's, sitting to eat, sitting to watch TV, sitting at a desk, sitting to drive your car. So number one, being aware of your posture and just trying to get yourself back, but just simple, we call them IYTs. So basically I meaning reaching as far back as possible, Y coming out into a diagonal, and then T coming out into a horizontal. Just that helps with shoulder mobility so much. And just by working IYTs, and these are things, if I have clients doing a lot of upper body work, we're doing so much external rotation stuff. And a lot of times, as I said, in my tool belt, we have bands, we have TRXs, we have things that could help us work on our pull and our posture. But definitely if we're just talking about body weight, those, the thread the needle, like we did, just reaching to the sky is opening up our thoracic so much that that's something that we just don't do on a normal basis. So our posture leads us to have shoulder problems. And then we probably tend to work out wrong, or we tend to do a lot more pushing than we do pulling. And that just causes to more impingement or more injuries.
One more question from me. For people who are in older years, who are more prone to losing muscle mass than
Mhm.
gaining, how do you help them gain muscle mass so that they can get off the floor if they fall and things like that?
Strength training. It's crazy because strength training has gotten such a bad rep, because either someone's been looking at Instagram and they see these steroided out people and they just think, oh, strength training is just going to get me big and bulky. Well, I've been working out for like 20 plus years and I've been trying to get big and bulky my whole life. It's not that simple. I wish it was. So strength training is what's going to lead you to live a longer life. And I know you kind of teed me up with that question, so I'm hoping I hit a home run with it, but strength training is what keeps muscle. Strength training is what keeps your bone. Like, strength training is everything. So many people are worried about losing weight. So we get into these HIIT style classes, or we do like so much extra cardio. There's a big difference between weight loss and body composition. And body composition is all about maintaining muscle and losing fat. And that is exactly what I do. That is my ultimate goal in my strength training programs is number one, I'm going to get you stronger. I'm going to make sure that you aren't getting injured along the process. And number three, hopefully when you're a grandkid, I want you to be that grandparent that gets to play with their kids. They're still running around. But just getting into strength training, it doesn't matter what age you're in, that's what's going to kind of keep you going a lot longer. Because those hip injuries, those falling down the stairs, or not down the stairs, sorry, just falling in general, a lot of those things could be helped just through strength training and stability and balance.
Excellent. Yes. So we as a group have really concentrated on eating protein and vegetables for the last 7 days, and they've done a great job. And one of it is to maintain your muscles. So muscles are important.
100%. I mean, nutrition's everything. I know you guys are doing a nutrition component. So yeah, I didn't want to speak on that. But yeah, I mean, there's no question that if you're properly strength training and then you're properly eating to maintain that muscle, it's just a win-win situation for whoever that individual is.
Excellent. Does anyone else have any questions? Beth?
Well, I put a question in the chat. Hi, can you
Hi.
jot down all those exercises in that sequence? Because a lot of them are familiar to me. I'm an OT by profession. So I work in an outpatient clinic. So this is right up my alley, what you're talking about. But some of those were new to me and they were great. And I'm actually going to take them to work with me in the next few days because everybody is a posture problem. It's like absolutely true, no doubt, including myself. But I was kind of laughing, Scotty, because I have a 17-year-old son who's totally into all this fitness and training and constantly researching. And you're like a grown version of my 17-year-old son who's constantly like, Mom, you have to do this if you want to make these gains. Mom, you have to do
Oh
this.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's I like to consider myself, I even had this in my bio at one point, but like my background in not only having a bachelor's and a master's in exercise physiology, like I like to think of myself as an educated meathead because in a lot of ways, the bodybuilding community might have went like crazy this way, and then the functional community went crazy this way. But like a lot of it is just the basics. Like if you are properly warming up, you're properly just going through good range of motion and mobility, and then you're doing the main exercises just help keep your strength. Like you can't go wrong just doing that. But yeah, I can definitely send some stuff. I also have some like YouTube videos of these like 5-minute mobility drills, and I have exercises up as well. So I could send that stuff to Dr. Stacy, so it's a lot easier for her to send that out to everyone.
I'll definitely do that. Excellent. Anyone else? Scotty, thank you. This has been phenomenal. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, and it was a pleasure meeting everyone. I hope you all kill it in the next week. I'm happy to end it up with you guys. As I said, tomorrow's a snow day. This is the perfect day to, even if you don't remember some of them, just doing some T-spine, just doing some IYTs, just helping yourself get some better posture. It's going to help you, and you can do it anywhere at any time.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. And you guys can send me any questions. And I'm pretty new age, so you can even text them if you want. Like, it's not a problem to me. But yeah, my information's there. If you guys have any questions, I'm an open book, and I'll be open in about 2 weeks. So anybody that wants to come see me, I'm here for it.
I hope you all take advantage of his free first visit offer.
Thank
Good.
you.
Okay, does
Thank
anyone
you.
have any other questions about the cleanse or anything else that's going on with what's going your day 7?
No,
No, you're all good?
we're old pros now.
You are old pros. We used to have like lots of questions. Now you're like, you got this. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about what's next, how to reintegrate into the real world, back into our lives, and maintain the things that work and have worked for you for the past 7 days so that you can maintain and increase your results, right? So very good. Okay, you guys have a wonderful night. I'll stick around if you have any questions. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. I have- do I-
Good
Oh,
night.
questions? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just happened to think of one for Scotty. Oh,
Oh,
he
good.
left. That's all right.
He just
Oh,
I
left.
just wondered if he ever helps people with a specific sport. If you're looking to get ready for, say, spring or summer for a specific sport.
I can actually answer that for you. He definitely does.
Oh,
He's
great.
worked with
Okay.
many different athletes to,
Okay,
yeah, so
okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
very good.
And
Anyone else had a
we have
question?
No, but we have our winners. Let me
I
give
forgot
you-
about that.
So Alana, Marie, and Joe.
Yay. Lana, you'll get yours mailed to you. You don't have to pick it up.
Yeah. Come on in.
Is there, or I'm happy to donate it to somebody.
You'll get it. Alana's in Maryland, Bethesda, Maryland.
Ah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Where we will not have snow tomorrow. Just saying. But it's still cold, so don't worry.
It was really warm here today. Almost
No,
40.
it's not warm here.
It melted all the snow just for more to come, don't
I
you
know,
know?
right? Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Oh, my question on the meat from that I tried boosting. If it's grass fed but not organic, is that okay? And
Grass fed is actually, yes, it is okay.
it's fine? Okay.
is
And
perfectly-
another funny question, if I were to make chicken soup and I had organic chicken bones, the broth, would that be considered a liquid? Like, or is that,
So that's a great question. I'm gonna leave that up to you. Like, you can choose that. If it's just straight broth without eating vegetables or anything that you're, other than the broth, I'm gonna
Right,
leave
kinda
that up
like
to you
bone-
if you want to
kind of
make
like
that.
bone broth almost?
So, it depends on how much, if you're breaking your fast with it, like if, depending on how much you have, is it breaking a fast? The whole fast is so that you're dining in. Remember that conversation from the beginning, dining in and eating your own fat? I don't know how much broth you would have to have before you kick yourself out of that.
Okay,
Okay,
it was just curiosity
there
question.
you go. For what it's worth.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay. I'm gonna stop the recording